Hello, everyone. My name is Hudson Lee, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. Today, I'll be presenting on turf versus grass and lower extremity injuries in football. My focus will be on how different playing surfaces affect player safety, particularly in terms of lower body injuries. In the picture, you can see I play football, and I can agree that football is one of the most physical sports out there. And player safety has always been a major concern at all levels, from high school to professional leagues. Studies show that around roughly 50% of injuries affect the lower body, which can include knees, ankles, and legs. Common examples of these injuries include ACL, MCL tears, sprains, and muscle strains. These often happen during sudden stops, rapid changes in direction, or even because of something related to the playing surface itself. In this project, I focus specifically on how artificial and natural grass affect lower extremity injuries and overall player safety. Understanding this is important because the surface athletes play on every week could have a lasting impact on their health and careers. Why playing surface matters? Playing surface matters because it affects both performance and safety. Artificial grass is durable, low maintenance, and weather resistant, but it has downsides like higher placement costs, hotter surface temperatures, and more non-contact injuries and hygiene issues as well. While natural grass is softer, provides better cushioning, and is generally preferred by players, but can be inconsistent. It can be impacted by weather, or it can have higher long-term costs. Like in the NFL, the split is about half and half, so both players can experience both and they can decide which they like better. And at the high school level, teams typically play 10 to 12 games per season and practice around 4 to 5 times weekly. About 40% of schools use turf, while the 60% use grass. Here, the quality of the grass and equipment can vary widely because of budget differences. Poorly maintained grass fields and limited access to athletic trainers can increase injury risk, especially for younger athletes whose bodies are still developing. Even small surface inconsistencies like divots and muddy patches can contribute to slips and falls, directly impacting the lower extremities. This shows that at this level, safety often depends on more than just the surface. It includes maintenance, resources, and supervision. Moving up to the college level, the environment changes significantly. Seasons are longer, 12 to 14 games, and training is often year-round. Fields are maintained to a much higher standard, and players have access to full medical staffs and top-tier equipment. Data here shows an interesting pattern. While grass fields tend to produce more injuries overall, turf and offers a more severe. For example, a player might suffer a more complex ACL tear on turf that requires surgery and months of rehab. With 136 Division I FBS schools, the total number of games and athletes mean that even rare injuries become more noticeable, emphasizing how surface types interact with exposure and injury risk. Moving at the professional level, the stakes are even higher. NFL seasons are 17 or more games long, with year-round focus on training performance. Facilities and medical staff are among the best in the world, and fields are consistently maintained to near perfect standards. Even though with all this research that turf consistently leads to more lower extremity injuries compared to grass, this has fueled debates whether all NFL teams should adopt grass to protect players' health. And this is the data that I gathered throughout my project of doing the research. And to analyze injury risk, researchers use a measure called athlete exposures, or AE. One athlete exposure represents one athlete participating in one game with the potential for injury. Looking at lower levels, turf sometimes shows fewer raw injuries, likely because fewer athletes play on it or seasons are short. However, at the NFL level, where data is easily accessed and it's like consistently being produced, turf has a higher injury rate per athlete exposure, and these injuries tend to be more severe. This highlights an important point that the impact of turf versus grass isn't the same at every level. Factors like athletic experience, supervision, and field maintenance all influence outcomes. Let's summarize what we've seen. Grass is often inconsistent, with even patches and muddy areas after rain, which can increase slips and ankle injuries. Turf is more uniform and predictable, but can still pose risk if not properly maintained, like harder spots that may lead to strains or sprains. At the college level, grass field at the college level tends to result in more overall injuries due to variations in traction and field conditions. Turf injuries, while fewer injuries, are more often severe, including serious knee injuries like ACL or MCL tears that require recovery times longer. And at the NFL, even with elite field maintenance and medical staff, turf consistently causes more lower extremity injuries in the NFL. Its firmer surface can catch cleats during sudden movements, increasing the risk of severe injuries, which is why the debate about switching all stadiums to grass continues. While turf has advantages like durability, lower maintenance, and weather adaptability, these findings raise ethical questions about player safety. Should convenience, the cost, or ever outweigh the health athletes? That's a question this research encourages us to think about. To conclude, natural grass is generally safer for reducing lower extremity injuries, especially at higher levels of play. Turf offers practical benefits like durability and lower upkeep, but it comes at a higher risk of serious injuries, particularly for professional athletes. Ultimately, player safety should be prioritized over convenience and cost, no matter the level of competition. And for future works, the study had limitations, especially at high school level and college levels where injury data is less standardized. For future research should include larger data sets, compare different types of turf and grass, and consider factors like weather, footwear, and field maintenance. Expanding this research to other sports could also show these findings apply more beyond football. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Hudson. I assume you are also a football player?
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. You guys are combining your passion with your research. Cool. I have a few questions. So I guess the first thing is, how has this project changed the way you think about football safety?
It changed a lot. So for me, in my high school experience, we play on turf, and we usually see a lot of like knee injuries. So we kind of get like a feel for like why turf should be changed, and it just affects how we all think about it and how we all want to stay healthy. And like people in the NFL, they get paid like nine figures to perform, but after like one game, they blow their knee out, and the whole organization just like burned their money at that point on one player. So it's like it's a very important topic that we should all bring up.
Yeah, yeah. And I liked how you split out high school versus college versus NFL, because I assume, there's different kind of considerations for each of them. Knowing everything that you know now for high school, what do you think that high school, budgets should, or how should they approach this problem?
I feel like some schools they're not as good or great. So I feel like higher programs like IMG or like Duncanville, like these top tier schools that like is nationwide known, they probably will get more funding than these schools that people has never heard about. And if you just like go to these different schools and you have players from there, you can see different experiences to where they have high tech availability, like to trainers, to different types of field services, and like better staffing compared to like these small schools. Like their coaches are probably like their history teachers as well. So it's a difference in like in general and how the difficulty of playing and like how much people care about the sport compared to other different schools.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And final question is, what was the most interesting or surprising thing you learned?
I would say probably the turf and grass is very close in injury rates compared to what I thought it was. I thought it was turf was so much more higher on injury rates than grass, but after all the data and finding it with my mentor, it's like changed, and it changed how um I see things and how we should still develop our ways and like change footwear or all move to one type of surface, and just to make injuries more normalized at all levels, to find different types of injuries, because um are uh, we all are exposed to injuries in sports, no matter which sport you play. And I think we should like take advantage of the resources we have now and use it to better our data in all levels.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this shows the importance of data, right? Because you thought it was a certain way from your own experience, but once you look at the data, it's actually a little bit more of a split between turf and grass. So awesome. Thank you so much, Hudson.